Hi, my name is Sandra, host of Boss Lady Live, where I come to you every Monday night with experts to discuss issues of crime and violence, love and relationships, health and wellness, various different topics that affect us right here in Jamaica. Please like and share and subscribe. Click on the notification bell to be advised when you're on. See you then.
Hi, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome once again to Boss Lady Live. And as I always say, we are here to educate and we are here to let you get the information that matters. And like every other Monday night, this evening we have a vivacious, fantastic, beautiful, educated young lady called Dr. Karen Dunkley, and we are privileged because this young lady is very, very busy. And so, we like to interview persons who are on the ground, doing things, making a difference where Jamaica is concerned, because Jamaica is our priority. So welcome, Dr. Dunkley.
Welcome. Thank you for my gracious welcome. Greetings and salutations to Boss Lady. I love it, Mrs. Sandra. I love it.
Lovely. So let me tell you a little bit about her before we start. Dr. Karen Dunkley, EDD, Teachers College, Columbia University, is a public intellectual strategist, intercultural competency leadership coach, and internationally recognized educator who has served in various high-level leadership positions in New York City and Philadelphia. Dr. Dunkley has enjoyed a life of service in education as an urban district leader, principal, teacher, and coach. She boasts a stellar record of advancing equity, access, and excellence for children and their families. Dr. Dunkley served as the principal of Parkway Center City High School in the School District of Philadelphia. Under her leadership, Parkway Center City was ranked number 6 and number 11, respectively, among Philadelphia public high schools, according to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania School Performance Profile and District Report Card. Wow! During her tenure, Dr. Dunkley facilitated an increase in reading, mathematics, and science achievement for 3 consecutive years. Prior to taking the helm of Parkway Center City, Dr. Dunkley served as Deputy Chief Academic Officer and Deputy Chief of the Office of Parent, Family, Community Engagement, and Faith-Based Partnerships. She spearheaded the formation of Parent Family Resource Centers and Parent University, which offers classes in parenting skills, family literacy, financial literacy, and academic-focused topics. Dr. Dunkley loves working with people and supports many organizations dedicated to human empowerment and development. She has lectured at several colleges and universities across the United States and Jamaica, presented and facilitated at national conferences on such topics as executive coaching techniques, coaching partnerships between community-based organizations and school staff, using innovation to close the opportunity gap, race and the achievement gap, diversity and inclusion in education, and diversity and inclusion as a lever for excellence. From 2018 to 2020, Dr. Dunkley served as the lead consultant on the New York State Integration Project for a school district and a collaborator on Phi Delta Kappa Community of Learning Practice project focused on achieving equity and social justice in education. Dr. Dunkley is the proud recipient of the prestigious Christian R. and Mary F. Lindbach Foundation, recognizing her as one of Philadelphia's best principals. She is also the Tuskegee University Education Advocacy Award recipient, the Omega Sci-Fi Education Achievement Award, the OIC Impact Award, and the Team Jamaica Bickle Distinguished Achievement and Contribution to Education Award. And she has a lot of education behind her name. Listen, Doc, you are a true inspiration. And look how she's young. She's young and has done so much. This is amazing work that you have done both overseas and in Jamaica. So the reason why I wanted to speak about the impact of the Jamaica diaspora is that many of us who are not involved in politics or has any interest in community-based work do not understand really and truly the impact of the Jamaican diaspora. You are particularly in the Northeast USA. So just tell us a little bit, first of all, why education, why that focus on family and children, and also why have you taken such a big role in the Jamaican diaspora? Because this is huge.
Thank you so much, Sandra. And let me just tell you, I've known you for years, and I've always respected you as an entrepreneur, as a woman, as a mentor with Totally Male. You established in Jamaica a first-tier spa from very early on, from before I was able to even afford to go to a spa. So it's just really wonderful to see you here, to be in this space. And let me big up my good friend Jeremiah Davy, Jerry the Divine Master. And Trisha, because that's how
Trisha, yes. Trisha made the link for me. Yes.
Right, so I'm in your orbit because of them. You ask a very interesting question. Why education? And I have to confess, these are my confessions. I initially did not intend to become an educator. I was a double major at St. John's University. I majored in political science and I majored in education. I had gotten accepted to 3 law schools. And so I said, well, after I finish, I'm going to just go right into law school. But a part of the education major is that you must teach. You have to do your student teaching. And my dear Sandra, when I went, I student taught at Elmont Memorial High School, and I just fell in love with the kids. So I went from a summer.
It's called destiny.
A semester of student teaching to just this year. And then I said, every year I'm going to go back. And finally, you can't waive your admissions anymore. So you lose it. But you're like, no, I love the kids, because you really realize the promise of education for children. I understood growing up in Eldersley. Well, actually, I grew up in Ensom City, Spanish Town. And also my parents are from Eldersley, St. Elizabeth. But I spent so much time with my grandparents, my mom, Mrs. Barbara Carmita Bowen Dunkley, my dad, Melvin Duncan Dunkley. And for us, we were or would have been considered working class or growing up poor, and education for us, for me, was a great equalizer. And when I fell in love with the kids, with the children, and I recognized the power of education, here I am today.
Well, I tell you, it's called purpose, and it's called being led, and it's called this is what you should be doing.
Amen. Ashe. Yes. We're going to claim all that.
Right. So, and then now you took it a step further. let's hear from you.
I really, so I've had this trajectory, and you know, you speak about purpose and purpose pushers and destiny helpers. When I was at St. John's, like I said, I finished my grad because they offered me an internship, a scholarship. And then after that, and having been in the system, I went to one of my very first principal, Dr. Renee Young, whose husband is now the first ever African-American chancellor of the entire New York State, which is the largest public school system in the United States of America. She was my first principal, my first year teaching. She said, one day you're going to be an excellent education leader. And I was like, wow, that she would think so much, because she is the truth. Dr. Young is the truth. And because of her, she found a program at Teachers College, Columbia, and brought it to me, and she said, you really should apply to this program. And the rest is history. When I went to Teachers College, I did the program. The professor there said, we want you in the doctoral program. You have to go. I said, Lord, I can't bother. Enough studying. I said, no, how long now? And so the trajectory, but it's about humility. It's about service. Right. It's servant leadership. Education is not only investing in children, it's a huge, tremendous investment in adults, because adults, as you know, Sandra, cannot do for children what we cannot do for ourselves. So as a leader, you have to have really high emotional intelligence, really high cultural and social intelligence, because you need to coach and work with adults so that they can support children and help the adults manifest at their highest levels, so they can help children to do the same. So go through that, right? And that really is the story. And it's a story that has so many interesting twists and turns, but in the end, a lot of triumph. Not always high moments, certainly not without trial, but we're on the triumph despite the trial. And so we are thankful because of that. And I say with all humility, when people say, Lord, doctor this and doctor that, I always say a doctorate and these big titles and degrees, Sandra, if we don't help our people, if we don't liberate our people, and when I say help our people, I mean in terms of self-pride and knowledge. Right. I had a very good friend of mine, has a daughter born in the United States, and she didn't know who Marcus Garvey was. The thing is this is not unusual. Right? We wish it were an outlier, but I say if we don't inform that knowledge of self, if we don't become warriors for the liberation of our minds, then these big degrees and titles, they don't mean anything.
Yes. Doc, Peter Wright is saying, so after that intro, he wants to know, why aren't you in Jamaica?
I am so glad, Peter. Thank you for that question. Let me just say, every time I say I'm coming to Jamaica, the purpose, pulls back here. In true transparency, Peter, I live in Jamaica 3 months out the year because I have businesses in Jamaica. I don't want to use your platform to talk about my business, but I am very much cemented.
Well, you can. We can do that further down.
Yes,
we can, because we're here about it's about the whole package.
Whole package, okay.
You help me, I help you. You help Jamaica. You understand? And we want to hear about it. You're a progressive, hard-working lady who want to support your business. Anybody who is supporting Jamaica, I am there to support you. So we'll speak about that later on, though. Before we close.
So I do reside in Jamaica 3 months out the year. Last year, because of the pandemic, COVID-19 was the only year. I left Jamaica in January or February, and I did not return, but I will return in July. God's willing, I'm alive.
Lovely. All right. So we're speaking now about her. Okay. To give an overview of somebody who is not familiar with the word or with the involvement of the Jamaican diaspora, just kind of give us an idea of what does that group entail, and what is their real purpose? Because for us in Jamaica, we know it has something to do with us, but exactly what is your goal What are some of the things that you do? And so we can, our audience can ask like pertinent questions with regards to your organization, which I believe is called Jamaica Global Diaspora Council. Is that it?
Yes. And I'll certainly elucidate. I'll talk a little bit more
Right.
about what that council, what it is that we do and how it's all connected. And that's a big question, Sandra. And thanks so much again for the opportunity and the platform. The word diaspora is not an elite club. It is not an elite term. It simply means, in the simplest form, it's the individual who have roots, Jamaican heritage, born. You can be of the diaspora two ways. You could be Jamaican born and you live outside of Jamaica. So where do you live in? Africa, Asia, the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom. You are a member of the Jamaican diaspora, because the term diaspora means the scattering. It's a biblical term, the scattering of the Jewish people across the earth. And I'm not going to digress and go into religion, but you know, there's some conversation about who are the original Jews.
Yes.
Or so I say that for us, when we use the term diaspora, we're talking about those of us who live outside of Jamaica, whether we were first generation diaspora, people like myself. I graduated from St. Catherine High School, 5 years, and Women's Girls School, 6th form. And then when we have our children, they're now second generation Jamaicans. So it's estimated that more than 1 million Jamaican-born nationals live outside, primarily in the United States, of course. In the Northeast, where I am, we have the largest number of Jamaican nationals outside of Jamaica, but the United States, the largest number, generally speaking, then United Kingdom and Canada. And then, of course, we have some population, some smaller numbers around Africa, Asia, and even other sections of the Caribbean. The reason why your question is so important at this moment is because those of us who live outside of Jamaica, at least full-time or at least part-time, we're at what I'm calling a tipping point. Jamaica is a very blessed country, Sandra, because she has a diaspora that is magnificent in its love for Jamaica. It is almost unconditional. We love Jamaica bad because Jamaica brand big. And the Jamaica diaspora is among the most committed when it comes to remittances. And remittance, I think, is now 20% of GDP because of the decrease in tourism. So you have a Jamaican diaspora that, despite a global pandemic where the entire world was displaced and continues to be economically displaced, that they still increase the money sent home to families to support. That's the love. And it's not just a financial remittance, because I'm getting to that point. It's the emotional connection, the social impact give of the medical missions, of the education organizations, of the community-based organizations. If we were to quantify the social impact,
it can't. It's huge.
Listen, Sandra, they said that there was a study in 2017 by Capri, Caribbean Research Institute. They quantified just the gifts, not even the knowledge, like the medical missions, at 5.6 million. And I would dare say, if you pull in US, all of the philanthropy coupled with the resources, because 77% of the remittance that comes back to Jamaica is really direct to families. But if you talk about institutional remittance that we do for programming and infrastructure type activities that are developmental in nature, then I would say that we are way beyond the 15-20 million US mark. So when you ask about why the diaspora matters and why Jamaica needs to pay attention, because it cannot just be about the money. There's tremendous knowledge transfer. There's tremendous intellectual capital that COVID-19 has taught us, if nothing else. We need to leverage. And let me tell you, Sandra, we in diaspora, we not think, say, we're brighter than those who reside in Jamaica. I graduated from 2 high schools in Jamaica. My sister graduated from the University of Technology. My brother graduated from St. George's College. So we're not fly-by-night Jamaicans, right?
Right.
We are cemented, but what we're saying is that in addition to the financial remittance, where's the knowledge transfer? In the Northeast diaspora, My portfolio, you talk about the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council, created by the ministry under the auspices of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. Really a transformational idea to expand and extend the notion of the diaspora beyond the United States, United Kingdom, and Canada to Africa and Asia for deeper partnership aligned to what we call Vision 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals, right? And here is where we have to really tune in, because if you look at the development areas, health and wellness, education, those are the two areas where we have huge diaspora investments. And so when you think about the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council and how it's organized, so there are 3 of us in the United States, the Northeast, my region, the Southeast, where Dr. Cunningham sits, my counterpart, Shauna Chin, who's the vice chair, sits in the Midwest and West. And then you have 2 in the UK, elected members, 2 in Canada. The reason why this is important is we are asking those who live in Jamaica to partner with us. We're talking about community organizations, not just every minute you get an email, a fundraiser, not just the money, but the intellectual capital, the knowledge transfer. Just our Northeast health sector, chaired by a brilliant, let me tell you, Sandra, if we were ever to pay the Northeast health sector to compensate the members of the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast think tank in the different sectors led by Claudette Powell, Lorraine Smith, Robert Clark, Dr. Robert Clark, Dr. Gary Rule, if we were ever attempting to pay, for example, our education with Iris Reed and Kesha Thorpe and Norman Lynch, I'm about to go through the names, but our state chairs like a Michael Campbell, we could not afford the lift. And these are just a select
smidgen.
Yes, a smidgen. So we're saying to Jamaica, rise up and come with us, because now we're asking for a deeper partnership. One of the items, Sandra, that we're lobbying for, and when I say lobbying, we're having conversations with government, but we need the citizens together to not to see us as outside of Jamaica. Where them think say them better than I try to tell you over run Jamaica. We're not. We're simply saying that together we're stronger.
Absolutely.
Right, Sandra? And
absolutely.
And guess what? You ever take a simulation, Sandra? You know, when you're doing like a forum and they give you these simulations like, could you survive on a desert island? Could you survive in a hurricane? You know the people who survive? The people who stay together. Those are the people. So when you do those simulations, the collective wisdom of the group, if everyone weighs in on the survival strategy, it increases automatically. So we're asking those of our brothers and sisters who live in Jamaica, when you think about diaspora, those of us who live outside of Jamaica, help us in our engagement as we think about serving on the different public boards so that we are a real part of the governance structure. If you lead a not-for-profit organization, identify partner diaspora organizations wherever they are in the world, because while the Global Jamaica Diaspora Council is under the auspices and it's a policy, it should be really driven by policy and practices to deepen the engagement. We have a multitude of organizations covering a wide range of areas, and we're asking for a deeper partnership. We don't want to be any more side chick. We want to be real, we want to be married.
We want to be the wifey.
We want to be, yes, the wifey. We want to be the first. We want to be, yes.
Okay, with that very spirited plea, how does someone in Jamaica and overseas become involved?
For generally speaking, if you go onto the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade website, you can find all of our contact information in terms of the different Global Jamaica Diaspora Council leaders around the country, the members. So if you go to MFAFT, I think is whatever that is, .gov.jm. I don't quote me on that, but definitely you can find the different diaspora leaders attached to the global
in your area, who's attached in your area.
Correct. Now, here's what I want to say, because I want to pay homage and honor to all, because we are not an organization, we're a movement.
Right.
However, there are so many organizations. So if you would like to know or connect to an organization in the Northeast, one of the achievements that we pride ourselves on, one of our legacy pieces, and my hats off to the Jamaican Diaspora Northeast think tank, comprised of the sector chairs and the state chairs, pardon me, and the sector leaders. You can email me directly at nediaspora@gmail.com. nediaspora@gmail.com. We will make those connections for you, because we are a movement. So if you are working, so for example, I get those emails all the time. I get different emails from different organizations, concerns around gender-based violence, concern around organizing petitions just to ensure that women and children are safe, concerns around health, people in need of, for example, social and emotional support, which our health and wellness sector does a phenomenal job. We even do telehealth with Jamaica in terms of counseling. We can act as as what I would call a gathering, an information gathering, and connect you. We're a connector. In the Northeast, Sandra, we practice the 3 C's, the framework of engagement. First of all, communicating, connecting, and collaborating. And so we are saying, talk to people. And when you think about your relative, them are foreign, it's not just send a barrel or beg your money. Yeah, it's about how are you doing? Because we do not, I mean, our resources here are, it's not like, you know, we're these wealthy people. We work hard.
Absolutely. And there's no tree up there with money growing. It's work. It's hard work. Just like if you were in Jamaica, it's hard work. There's no tree to shake in the backyard.
Again, no tree. No tree.
No tree at all.
No tree. And it's sacrifice. What your relatives send to you, it comes out of tremendous sacrifice. In the United States, the majority of Jamaicans who live here are Black people, and our phenotype is African. So it means that we are subjected to the systemic oppression and discrimination and white supremacy as other phenotypically African people. So the monies we earn in these spaces that oftentimes don't value or reward or elevate us, when we send it home, it comes at a tremendous sacrifice. I have met so many diasporans sending their unemployment benefits. Who does that?
Right.
Is unemployed, gets a benefit, and then turns around and sends it home. That's the love. And we're saying that there has to be an honoring, not just for the money, but for the intellectual capital, the thought partnering that we can do. So that is what I would say. Connect with us so we can see each other as human beings, as brilliant, magnificent human beings. Because sometimes we go fussing us, Sandra. We're family. Right. We might know, you know, we might disagree, but in the end, we're focused on building the beautiful, beloved island of Jamaica.
So okay. So let me get it clear. So the diaspora involves anyone who is outside of Jamaica. So the ones who are inside Jamaica, like myself, what we can do is to support. That's what you're saying. Is to support, get involved in terms of finding out what you're doing, and if there's anything that we can do from here to support in a major way the projects that you in the diaspora start and are pushing for the betterment of the people here in Jamaica.
Correct. And when you talk about support, so in the Northeast, we have so many thought partners. So in the same way that we are asking for that collaboration where we give each other our best ideas, our best thinking, our best strategies, that human talent, we model that here. There is never a project. So we, for example, we embarked on our 90-day food bank. We have a very strong partnership with Sam Sharp Teachers College around social emotional learning for adults and children. We also launched our internet connectivity hotspots to bring to communities high needs communities that do not have internet, so that young people can continue and stay, I would say, in terms of their academic achievements, stay on the trajectory necessary despite the challenges logistically around COVID-19, teaching, learning, and leadership. So just as we engage, we call individuals and organizations, because there is no new thing under the sun. And we ask them, we are working on the internet connectivity projects. Give us your best thinking. And individuals like a Melanie Sabrati from Separate and Musson, a Marvin Hall, a Jeffrey Brown, a Janine Robinson.
These are your partners.
Yes,
here in
Jamaica. Yes, they give us their time. And when we come to the table, we're focused on the best outcome. We're focused on a spirit of excellence for Jamaica. So the support is good, but we're asking for inclusivity, and we're asking for in the relationship reciprocity, that you pull us to the table, not just to write the check, but also to be engaged, yes, in the planning and the processes as well.
You see, the thing is, you see, a lot of times persons, they don't realize, and I blame, sometimes the blame lies at the feet of the givers. They make it appear as if not that the money is easy to get, but they don't make persons aware that they have to be working 2 and 3 jobs, when most times someone out here in Jamaica is working 1 job. They are working 2 and 3 jobs in order to earn, to be able to send back home, because most times the thinking is that at the end or at my retirement, I would like to return home. So they're making sure, many of them, that they have a home to come back to. They have a family to come back to. And so all of these monetary sacrifices, persons overseas need to let people know that it's not just a walk in the park. And also, I don't want to use the word blame, because blame is kind of harsh. But sometimes they need, because you know, sometimes we as individuals, persons in Jamaica and overseas, are enablers. If someone is able-bodied,
right,
and I'm not, please don't all attack me. I'm not saying don't send money. I'm saying send money where to and encourage persons to multiply the money.
Yes.
Not just to buy a pair of shoes, not just to you know, tell them can help themselves start a little business.
That's right.
You know, because it's hard-earned money.
That's right.
So for those of us who travel, and for those of us sometimes who sees the sacrifice that persons make, it is very painful to see when persons send the money and it's squandered. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to educate persons as to how hard it is for the diaspora to, one, give back to the country, give back to their families, the sacrifices made, and the fact that they also need to do something for their country, those who live here and don't really see it because, boy, you want to say, you know, things tough, but one cocoa full basket. If you get some money, you can start a little business, you can help somebody else in the family, not only depending from those persons in the diaspora. So I don't want, as I say, I don't want to use the word blame, but I'm encouraging those givers to let persons understand that you are planting a seed because you want to see the betterment of Jamaica, not because you don't live here. You had the opportunity to leave and you're doing whatever you're doing overseas, but 9 times out of 10, persons are looking back to Jamaica to still build Jamaica. And that's what we need to understand. And so that's why I want to have the conversation. Because honestly, if I didn't take the time to kind of get myself involved, or as a business person,
Right.
diaspora, when I hear diaspora as a lay person, you're thinking about somebody who maybe, you know, the diaspora, they are persons living overseas, but they want to come back when retirement time comes. You don't really think about the different things that the diaspora have put in place or is helping the government with. The monies raised, the fundraising, the tablets and all of those things that are sent to Jamaica that are issued to companies, whether through companies or to the schools directly to help the children of Jamaica. A lot of persons don't really look at it that way.
Correct.
Right? And some of them don't even know that it's individuals taking the monies out of their own pockets. They probably think that it's companies that are sending this money.
Right.
But
You have some companies, there's some corporate give, but primarily the majority of give comes from
There's some corporate give, but sometimes because, you know, you send a tablet and the tablet is either stolen, given, or misused. They don't get you dead. We're not getting the buy-in of the sacrifice that the diaspora makes at times because we don't have it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I think that level of education or that conversation needs to be had to persons who are even receiving as to where it's coming from, and not just open your hand to receive with a level of expectancy or a level of what was the word I'm looking for? Entitlement. Yes. That's the word I'm looking for. There's no entitlement. These are people, human beings, Jamaicans, concerned Jamaicans who have chosen to give back to their country. So that's why I wanted to have this conversation. And I can see your passion, and I know there are many like you who have been giving into Jamaica. So tell us some of the projects that you have been involved with.
Thank you so much. And allow me just to say, Sandra, that you really, and thank you so much for your honesty and your passion in sharing that perspective. It's a perspective that we need to listen to and take action around it. Because one of the piece of the feedback for us, the pieces is simply this, is we teach people how to treat us. So when
absolutely, that is one of my songs that I sing on a daily basis.
And what a song it is, because when my mother used to say, don't pour show great. And when we come now and I try pour show great, then we are creating a false expectation. We're going with everything new and we are spend. And a time a credit card will depend when we come back in we can't even pay the credit card billing number. We have to go pick up work.
Absolutely.
Sandra, we have to now delve into 3. If we had 2 jobs before, we need a 3rd. We need 2 in the week and 1 on the weekend just to absolve our debt. And so you raise a critical issue, and we have to communicate, whether it's the personal gift to families or the corporate gift that attach to that gift. We don't want a halo. We're not saying that, Lord, we want you to kneel at the altar, but what we're saying is to have some gratitude. Sometimes, Sandra, I have to tell you this, the Northeast think tank, we have engaged with several initiatives, whether they're with organizations or entities and individuals, and not a word of thanks, not even a letter. Once that check goes, we have to turn around and ask them, then when I get the check, then it clear, it hit your account.
And that's why I say there is many times the view that this is an entitlement of some sort. Don't know why, don't know where the entitlement came from, but sometimes the givee,
Right.
the giver,
Yes.
is at fault because they don't make it clear.
Mm-hmm. And we accept that. And you said not blame, but we could use blame. Why mince words? We have to accept total responsibility because we do not communicate how the give happens. For example, I always say I worked 3 jobs to pay for school. So when there is a give, it's a tremendous sacrifice, and that's not unusual for a lot of immigrants like me who came to America with 1 suitcase, and then you had to make a way. You have to make a way. So that's important. So I just wanted to also just briefly highlight, we spoke because we're talking about giving. So remittance is one thing, but you speak about investments because you mentioned the housing. And another area in which diaspora is critical for Jamaica is around investments. We've touched on the social impact as a part of philanthropy. We touched on remittance, but investments, whether it's in housing, in the housing market, I was asked to discuss, and I received from someone who lived in the diaspora and relocated to Jamaica, that the diaspora money is creating in Jamaica what they call an untenable situation. It's an unfair situation for housing because those who are outside of Jamaica may be able to come in and purchase these houses at higher rates, at astronomical amounts of money that would not necessarily.
Everything is pegged to the US.
Yes, to value. And I would say that we need to find a way, whatever advocacy groups exist in Jamaica, we know that there's a space for private enterprise, and we're not about to, you and I are both entrepreneurs. So this is not about entrepreneurship or private enterprise. We're simply saying that there has to be a meeting in the middle, that Jamaicans who live in Jamaica, that we're not second-class citizens in our own country. So my family, many of them still live in Jamaica, my friends, we should not be second-class citizens. We should be able to afford the housing. We should be able to, for example, so the investments is one thing, and I just highlighted the housing market. I didn't even touch whether it's the financial markets. The Jamaica Stock Exchange is the highest performing in the world. The other piece where we play a vital role is in exports. One of the international companies, Grace Kennedy, has built its company on exports and later on remittance money transfer. And the Jamaican diaspora, we still want to eat with yellow yam. When Julie mango come up in New York, you have long lines and people are texting me and say, diaspora rep, I'm gonna get no mango. I know where the mango guy, I'm gonna come out here early. And I'm saying, wait, I didn't know that's a part of my role. And when I'm texting this and that person, and it's the mango person saying, but we come from early and we sell off. So we are very committed to the food because food just nests us to home. And so we want our bun and cheese during Easter. And so exports, our crackers, me love my Grace water crackers. What can I tell you? Sandra said when I'm hungry and I put together some crackers and sardine and Karen, how do you like? I will have sea bass and I will just drop some water crackers. And my husband's like, what is that? I said, no, man, nothing beat that water crackers. So the exports, especially around food, is a tremendous economy for Jamaica because it really opens up for small farmers this opportunity to really now have a market, because we as Jamaicans do not do a good job of being producers. We consume a lot and our food bill is extremely high if you look at our import food bill. And so for us, a goal in the diaspora is at least have parity, is to really reduce our imports and maximize, increase our exports. And the final place is tourism. Tourism is key. We won't come home. It's all during COVID. You see them argue and fight. Sandra, them are like, no, I still want to go home. And Jamaica's in the pandemic, and we're like, no, the world has shut down.
At least one option.
Where you are.
Yes.
Carry your yard in a diaspora. And
Yes.
people are like, no, because just this idea that, you know, I can't just get on a plane and go to El Jersey, St. Elizabeth, or go to Montego Bay or in some city, Spanish Town, was really emotional for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So diaspora tourism remains critical. But let me say this, Sandra, my dear, me no know, but we have to do some Black pride and Black history. I get, sadly enough, in my role, I hear a lot of horror stories from Black Jamaicans and phenotype being African. Like when I come home, the way they're treated compared to the white tourist coming in, it's almost like, again, that second-class treatment, the customer service levels, the way in which they are received and welcome. I have so many instances. I had this young lady who is a close friend, but also a business person, and her daughter, who was second-generation Jamaican, she was in tears because of how she was treated at the airport. And she said to the person, but you're not speaking to the white people like that. Why are you treating us this way? And I think we as Black people, we have to really get rid of mental slavery. And it's not just Jamaicans whose phenotype is certainly African. It's also when my Black American friends, when they come, it's like if they say, oh, Karen is Jamaican, they're going to share with me their experiences. And sometimes we know Jamaica is beautiful and our people are warm and the music and the culture and the food. However, sometimes they will say, Karen, I could not help but feel like I'm experiencing what happens in America. That tinge, that microaggression where the white man's ice is colder, where white families are more valued and catered to. And we need to really love ourselves and respect the king and the queens in us and treat each other better. Because it's several, we love ourselves. I see you, Sandra. You are my reflection as a beautiful, brilliant Black woman. I'm going to hold you in that esteem. So we have to burn a fire. We have to burn a fire upon that and call it. We have to burn a fire.
Yes. But you see, I think the impression, unless you're in the work sphere, people don't really pay attention. And I say the work sphere, meaning as an employer, the dollar is the same. That's how, in terms of customer service. When I speak to my staff, we need to understand that the dollar is the same. When we get that understanding that the dollar spend the same way, and the thing is, my experience with dealing with my people is that once you treat them a particular way, them loyal for life.
Right.
And so the loyalty of your own people is easier to hold those than somebody that's passing through every now and again. Until we understand that as Jamaicans, and I do Airbnb, so I have a full knowledge of what is going on. And I mean, sometimes when they compliment me and say, boy, you know, your customer service is up there, because I treat everybody the same way. Whether you are way down in your estimation of the totem pole, no matter to me. Everybody must be dealt with in the same way, the same customer service. It must be treated fairly. And as an employer of 27 years and a business owner of 27 years, and plus 10 years prior to that, I was with the airline. I understand what persons are talking about. I just came back from Baha'i Principe on the weekend. And it was full of, I would say, it may have been about 70% between Jamaicans and Black Americans, and the rest were Caucasian. So we have to shift.
Yes.
Mentally, how, first of all, what we want for ourselves. So we have to shift in terms of embracing our skin color.
Yes.
Appreciating our people, understanding that many of these hotels would not even be open if they did not take on the locals.
That's right.
Because the locals have been keeping many doors open, so we can't afford to treat them anymore.
That's right.
Right? In this whole pandemic, it's Jamaicans who saved many properties because some people couldn't travel. So I'm hoping that after this pandemic or through this pandemic, there will be a major shift. There has to be. I think persons have become more aware of what is really needed. Let us agree that some will never get it.
Yes, fair enough.
But we can't give up. We can't give up. So that's why we have to have these conversations, so that some people who are not even aware become aware. Because I've had many discussions about color and class, and Jamaica is seen as more class prejudice.
But Sandra is not true enough, but we're not going to digress. I don't know if I believe that. I think we say it because we are in denial. Because if we say it's not only class, that it means we have to address it. But I've been saying that for years.
Maybe not denial, but our experience as I would say majority blacks would probably be different from an American experience of maybe predominantly white.
Right.
So maybe it's a matter of how you view it.
Right.
So persons will say, okay, if I come from X place, they treat me different from if I come from uptown Y place. So that is the kind of conversation. They don't say it don't happen. It doesn't happen.
Right.
But I think their view, because everybody black, or that's what viewed. We know you have the Browning syndrome and all of that, and then you have the white. So I think our view and our maybe the lack of exposure to racism in general, we don't really know what category to put it. I think that's more it. The lack of exposure or the danger of one
perspective, right? And we know that Adichie speaks about the danger of a single narrative, that our stories that are yes, right?
The danger of a single story.
Yes,
I think
exactly. Right. And so
I don't remember her name. That's where I'm going.
Yes, Adichie is her last name. So Sandra, this is why citizens know that's what you and I doing. We're engaging Jamaica and the diaspora struggle together for a sustainable future, which is, by the way, the theme of this year's 2021 symposium.
Say that again.
It's Jamaica and her diaspora stronger together for a sustainable future. And just this conversation, just us hearing each other and listening and saying, wow, this is how we experience it. But you're saying, well, this might be the perspective. I mean, it doesn't get better than this, because out of this now, we are more informed around our actions and our strategy. And the goal at the end is, how do we as Jamaicans match the brand that we have in our economics, in our social development, in our political development, and in our emotional development. Sandra, me afraid, me not argue with one person in Jamaica, my dear. Me very afraid, because you can't argue with anybody. So the conflict resolution, you know, all of those skills. When we were growing up, boy, you cannot disagree with somebody and you live and you and them friend up the next day. No.
Everybody take things personal.
Yes.
Everybody's on the edge. And so I've had those conversations too on this program, because a lack of education is a part of the problem. So you don't really know how to discuss, how to trash out, how to use words to say what you want to say. You rather fight if somebody steps on your toe, because whether you are physically stronger or you just really don't have nothing to say, so you just lash out. And so we have to work on the education, as if same as what you were saying earlier. We really have to focus on the education. I want to give you some of the comments and maybe some of the statements that persons have been making as we go on. Okay, so Kemoy says Dr. Dunkley is Miss Jamaica wherever she goes.
Kemoy
says, good evening, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to join this interesting talk. Dr. Karen Dunkley, a dynamic leader in the Jamaica Diaspora, Northeast USA. So she'll big you up.
big up, enough respect.
Marianne Bacchus Atkinson says she's loving the discussion. And a lot of them were talking about when we were discussing, you know, about the money not being just to just the line there to pick up and to give away. They were talking about, you know, I really need to know. Claudette says connect, communicate, and collaborate. To reiterate what you said earlier, you know, what needs to be done. Jerry says I am close up seeing the untapped potential of the diaspora. Great discussion. As Jerry says, I've spoken to a few people up to last week who have strong desires to return and invest, which is true. I speak to a lot of people, and if truth be told, a lot want to return but don't have the means in which to return, because it's very expensive when you come home to buy the house and to reset up here. So unless you're really in a strong financial footing, to come back and start from scratch is not easy. And many persons have sold their homes whilst migrating, and coming back, you're starting from scratch. So that sometimes is a challenge for persons. But anyway, some people come back and do start from scratch. Persons are more seemingly interested in Jamaica's quality of life versus America's quantity of life. Because really and truly, it's very, should I say, people have a way where it's, you know, Jamaica, I know nothing. You know, it's easy, does it? If you say to somebody in Jamaica,
no problem.
if you say to somebody in Jamaica work 2 jobs, some of them might look on you sideways. But in America, it's standard that somebody will work 1 and 2 and 3 jobs, maybe because they feel that the financial gains are much more than if they would work in Jamaica. I don't know what the reason is. Maybe we need to
it's the bills. It's the cost of living, because remember that it's just now that most of, like, for example, the Jamaicans have attained a certain level of education, so they have higher incomes. But traditionally, our people, my mom coming in as a nurse's aide, you're coming into lower level jobs that don't pay as much. And so, especially in high cost of living index places such as New York City has one of the highest cost of living in the country in terms of the index rate. And so it's because of that, and they're coming now trying to save up. To save them can't help, because at home, you know, one person in America supports a household in Jamaica. Them mother, them father, if them still there, them brother, them sister. I meet a lot of Jamaicans here in the diaspora. Them say, boy, help us. You don't know anyone who can attach us to the farm work, or if they have a death at home. So the responsibility of that one working person in America, and that's why we do these jobs. And I don't glorify it anymore, but it's something we have to do, because you feel like I am here in the diaspora, whether it's the United Kingdom, Canada, the US, wherever I am in Asia, and I can earn these funds and I can send them back home.
Yeah, but they can earn here too.
Yeah.
They can earn here too, but if they are going to be dependent on the person enables them to be dependent, then they will not help themselves. And so that's what I'm saying. You need persons
We
who
have to
are
own
in
it.
diaspora need to be more discerning
Yes.
when they're giving their funds. It must be towards education. It must be towards, yes, clothing, but to make the person better, or to be able, instead of giving them a fish,
Teach them
help
how.
them to fish for themselves.
That's
So
right.
rather than giving them money, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, maybe if you give them 2011 and 2012, they can help themselves in 2013 and turn around and help somebody else in 2013 or 2014. Is what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's some of the things that we need to look at.
We do. And it's an honest conversation. And it's really, to your point, it's bringing, sometimes we need, I used to call it family talk. Whenever we have uncomfortable conversations in our family, we call it family talk. When I was a principal, when something was happening in the building and we needed to speak, I would pull the scholars together and say, we need to have family talk. And we would talk through it. Sandra, you raise a point, though, that I want us to amplify around how do we instill entrepreneurship? And I think we now need to go back to our children, because I remember growing up in Jamaica, my dear, my mother would have never begged our sister them a foreign anything, because she had such pride, because we are proud people. She didn't want them to say, oh, Junior and our picking them. Never ever she would. I remember that. The reason I raise that is, with westernization and the TV and everything coming in, I noticed a shift, and I have been asking, when exactly did the shift of dependency on people will live a foreign happen? Because usually a man dig me a mill, or I'm gonna market, I'm raising chicken. And I was saying when, because it happened, but I think we need to study and go back. And the reason why it's important is because we want to cut it at the root. Because what you're talking about is that, but I noticed that shift because we did not grow up begging and asking our cousins who lived abroad for things. No, when them did come though with the barrel, we did glad enough.
Nobody said that was the addition too. Those were more gifts, not dependent on.
Exactly.
So when you get bird come and get you new shoes for Christmas,
right,
you feel special.
Exactly.
Because auntie thought of you, but it wasn't something that you depended on. Or say mommy going up and she going draw your foot on the paper, right. And when she coming back, auntie send you this foot and everything wrap up in them own little bag, everybody parcel wrap up. But it was not to live off.
That is right. It was not, yes, it wasn't income, and it's values and attitudes. And so we need to go back to the children, because what I find with my business, there's not a day, they must say, then Miss Dunkley beg your money now, or them want them salary before them finish working. Whereas at least in the United States, you have to work a week before you get paid. So when you leave, you always have a week. That's called your retribute. Right. And what I found with my business, we are a restaurant, and I said to two of the young ladies, I said, we don't need to hire a cleaning lady, because your shifts start so late. You guys can actually clean the restaurant, and then you get this money. Because they were always asking, and them say, then Miss Dunkley, me not clean bathroom, So Sandra, I laugh because I had a cleaning company to pay for school at St. John's University. I would put an ad in the Long Island Newsday and go and clean people's houses. And when I'm in Jamaica, I go to the restaurant, the Spirits of Montego Bay, right in Iron Shore, and I'm there at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Sometimes I reach before the cleaning lady, and we clean together, because that's the time to really see and take furniture. But that's the mentality. They see these, as beneath them, but it's not beneath them to ask. And we know it's not everyone. I'm just saying we need our values and attitudes to reframe and reshape the minds of our children and young people.
Absolutely. And it takes all of us to create that shift.
Yes.
The givee and the giver. Money comes with responsibility. That's how I see it. And so if I'm going to take my hard-earned money
Yeah.
Now, this is not to say that you don't help somebody, but what does help really mean? What is help? Help is helping me, even if you, let's say you give me money today.
Yes.
There's a stopgap. But it can't be in perpetuity.
That's true.
Right? If you're sending money from the diaspora home, it must be to build something, to improve somebody's life, to yes, okay. How I accept that now is your mother who is retired, your father who is retired, someone who is unable to work, that kind of thing. I understand that. But for those persons who are able-bodied, and I say this without any apology, you are not helping the individual. You are crippling the individual. Because let's say, God forbid, you are taken out of the picture. You get ill. You can no longer work. What happens to that individual, that able-bodied individual that is dependent on you? That's what
we need, Sandra, we need an extended conversation, because I think it's just so important to bring people to the table around this issue, because it's going to illuminate all of us, you know. And I see people, sometimes I see people here, them have heart attack, them have stroke, just so burdened by the need.
You're working 2 jobs, no exercise, don't have time even to catch your breath, don't have time to sleep, because you have several persons depending on you. And if you don't send the money, they don't eat.
But sometimes they look good to do, you know, because when you come and think that they're suffering, them look quite rosy and nice and happy and young and fresh, sweetheart. So I think you're
right. They must gotta sleep every day.
The balance,
morning, noon, and night, and they get up just in time to watch some TV. And I have a problem with it, because I'm all for development, and I'm not, and I help, but I like to teach people to fish rather than, and I have no problem with in the meantime. In the meantime is no problem. In the meantime, I will say yes, I can assist you for a specific period of time. Then you can help yourself. That is where we need to go. That is where the mindset of the diaspora needs to be. And that's where the people who are here in Jamaica, we need to have a Build Jamaica. I don't want to say campaign, because we're supposed to be having a Build Jamaica campaign towards the 2030 vision.
Okay.
How many people are buying into it, have bought into it? And even when they say they have bought into it, what does that mean? What do I bring to the table? What is my role in us achieving the 2030 vision? And that's how every individual, every adult needs to think going forward to 2030. What do I bring to the table? What is my role? What is expected of me? Where do I need to go to know where the hole, where we can fit in? Because people think, you know, if you don't have money or if you don't have education, you can't help. That's not true. Many of us have skills, needed skills.
Ideas, innovation. There's so many ideas that are untapped. That's our biggest capital that we have.
Yeah. And so these are some of the conversations that we need to be having right now. Forums. In this age of online and internet, we need to be having these discussions about where do I fit in?
And where does the diaspora fit? That's right. But put it together. And how can we at home and abroad, Jamaicans in the diaspora and Jamaicans at home, where is the fit and the alignment? Because
where is the alignment?
Yes. And that's right.
I like that word. It's the alignment. What are the discussions that we're having with our people at home about, you know, what's happening? Where you see yourself in 2 years from now? Can't be asking me for money same way. Can't be. What are your plans?
Why? So Sandra, so highlight that, because you know why this is crucial? It's fundamental to the way we will continue to develop. So when you ask Karen, what are the programs working on? That's what organizations and movements will continue to do programs, or 3 main areas of concern: health and wellness, education and crime and citizen security. But it's not just the programs we do, because if we only do good programs at the end of our tenure in whatever roles, all that we would have done are good programs. What we're now saying in the Northeast, and I'm saying from this chair, along with the think tank, because it's not about I have a brilliant, hardworking team around me and wonderful, powerful, critical friends who hold us accountable and hold me accountable to be the best leader that I can be. What we're asking for now is, in addition to the programs, because programs can build sustainability, it's how do we change the system? How do we change the system for a deeper partnership? How do we change the system so, as we're talking about Vision 2030, that it's not only the budget that those of us in diaspora get to inform, because the expectation then is diaspora can cover this budget. How do we change the system around the policies and the processes at the table in conversation, so that as we build this system, we are just as much a part of the core, the bowels of it, and not just simply financing and writing the check?
Absolutely. I could not have said it any better. And how do we get the buy-in from the people, the people who think they don't matter? Because I think that's one of the reasons why the crime goes up too. If I don't think I matter, then who cares? I just exist. My mother don't love me, my father don't love me, I don't have no purpose. So wreak havoc. If we don't get into the minds of the people and make them feel as if they belong, we are going to lose them. And what do we normally lose them to is crime and violence and zero education, because
that's it. Sandra, and the education,
it really doesn't matter.
That's right. And it's not just the reading and the writing and the arithmetic. The education is the critical thinking. It's the problem solving. That's a part of the conflict resolution. It's a part of working in teams. The education is what pulls cultures and communities, a country together. It's not just like, so it's the literacy is a piece of that, and the reason is a piece of that, but coupled in there when we say someone is educated, because my grandmother didn't have any formal schooling, but she could problem solve. She could do some
and she had run a whole project like no other.
That's right. So I think that those are the spaces that we need to enter. You ask about what we're doing, for example. We need to think about our long-term and our short-term strategy for crime, for education, for healthcare. Many Jamaicans who live abroad would come home if we address crime and healthcare. We came out of civilizations that used to think in centuries. The Africans built empires in centuries, and we are doing a little 3-year plan, a little 5-year plan. We're no longer thinking for generations and generations ahead. And so our entire mindset has to change. We have to now begin to think in centuries.
Girl, you're hitting. I feel like I need a cup of coffee and I need about 5 more hours with you. Listen. Absolutely. Let me see some of the comments. Claudette says, good point, Sandra. An example, send the money payment for the doctor bill directly instead of giving it to the requester. Because they said the seeker, the doctor bill is X, but really and truly is a Nike Air It bag.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Or even sometimes when there's a genuine need, and you send money, they still use it for something else.
That's right.
Now, I'm not saying, and I don't want people to get me wrong, or people to hate me, because sometimes you have a genuine need. But people, we are Jamaicans. One of the toughest, one of the most talented, one of the most creative, one of the most colorful set of people I have met in my life. And I have traveled quite a bit. My wish for everybody was that they had the ability to travel to see what it is that we have here in Jamaica, to see how fortunate in many areas we are. I think it's a misunderstanding of what it is that we really have in Jamaica. I mean, for me to leave, you have to go dig me out. That's the thing.
I know, right?
With a pickaxe.
That's how I feel.
I have the ability to travel. I've seen places that I like, but my lifestyle, I just love my little nook, my little beach, my little country, my little mountain, my little city life, and everything is in a little radius. That's
no way better than yard. No matter where I go, I'm a Jamaican, right?
But I also understand persons going overseas for, to not only to better themselves, but to learn from others and bring it right back here, which is what the diaspora does. Because without that avenue, many programs would not be funded.
At all.
Because, at all. Right? And so there is room for everybody in the matrix. There's room for everybody. So you just have to decide as a Jamaican, whether living overseas or living here, whether first generation, second generation, third generation, what is my role? Where do I want to see Jamaica? What am I doing? Me, Sandra. Not what is Karen doing? What is Joe doing? What is Susie doing? Don't look out. Look within and see. And if you don't know and you don't really have a calling per se, ask, find out, check it out. Go on the site, on the website, which, by the way, tell us your social media, where to find you, where we can ask questions, how you can direct our path. You had spoken earlier about the Ministry of Foreign Affairs page. You can get some information there. But how can we reach you?
Thank you so much again.
What programs we can get involved in, and what programs you are doing, and how we can become a part of this great initiative to help Jamaica.
Thank you so much again, Sandra. We are encouraging you, if you check us out, we have a website. And again, we're all volunteers, because sometimes people think we get paid enough, Sandra, but we don't. We're volunteers. And if you go to our website, we are the Jamaican Diaspora Northeast United States. And we're comprised of 14 states from the V to V, Vermont to Virginia, from the New England states to what I call the early South. That might not mean to anything to people who live in Jamaica, but it simply starts with the very early colonies in terms of how America was settled, and it grew out to the South. And you can check us out at www.janedjnet.org. Jamaica, it means Jamaica Northeast Diaspora, or Jamaica Diaspora Northeast is www.janed.org. On social media, you can look for us at Jamaica Diaspora Northeast USA. There are many diaspora organizations. So again, look for the JANED logo. It's a map with the 14 states. You can reach me personally on my public page at Dr. Karen the name that's shown here, DRKARREN, at Dr. Karen, and it comes up as Jamaica Diaspora Northeast representative. And we're also on Instagram at Dr. Karen as well. And the email we gave earlier, nediaspora@gmail.com. And you asked what we're doing. One of the pieces that we focused on in the Jamaica Diaspora Northeast think tank was to build our infrastructure for engagement. So our think tank, again, you mentioned Claudette and Kamoy, they're all members, active members of our think tank, comprised of state chairs. So we know what's happening in each state, especially in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, where we were not able to travel as frequently and as freely as we should or we could. We also have sector leaders. In terms of our works, our work is aligned to these core areas, again, directly connected to the Sustainable Development Goals and Vision 2030. We have our health and wellness sector. I mentioned the leaders. We have our education sector. The health and wellness is focused on non-communicable diseases, the management of COVID-19. We have done several adopter clinics. We have a robust partnership with Dr. Elaine Knight, our great partner in Jamaica Nationals Association, coming out of the DMV, the Maryland, Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. Dr. Elaine Knight and Claudette Powell, Dr. Rule, and our health sector, we have a great partnership with the Jamaica Cancer Society. And so our health work fits into that, especially Lorraine Smith does social emotional counseling. We have a robust mental health, I would say, engine.
Very important at this time.
And especially because I think that COVID-19 has allowed our community to destigmatize mental health. Our mental health hotline, thanks to Lorraine Smith Solutions to You, she is a nationally certified, she is a counselor. And what we found is we were able to serve over 300 individuals through this hotline that she, and now we're doing the social emotional counseling. So it really is tremendous work that these are individuals who give up their time, talent, and treasure. And then we have our economic development and empowerment sector. Our economic development and empowerment sector, you speak about entrepreneurship. And I know that our co-chairs, Tracy Tomlinson-Dixon, Wayne Thompson, Tracy Ann Brammer, that there's a lot of conversation about how do we build an entrepreneurship pipeline in Jamaica, because that seems to be a gap, entrepreneurship, and how do we embed individuals with the skills and the knowledge and the attributes, because sometimes you can bright and smart, but you're not a good entrepreneur because you don't have that go get it like you, Sandra Samuels, that you're not this powerhouse, you know, you don't, the innovation, the passion, you know, I'm a fall down.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
A little bit, but tell her what. And so that's the economic development and empowerment sector. In terms of Jamaica, I want to say hats off to them. We have had to pivot. And just as much as we focus on Jamaica, Sandra, we had to focus on those who live in the diaspora because we were under siege. And so we continue to help small businesses. We were able to provide, and this is all volunteer, technical assistance to over 30 small businesses to get $3.6 million in forgivable government loans and grants. So we help our people fill out the paperwork, get them taxes together, because our community, for some reason, we're usually lagging behind in participation and knowledge. So it's barriers to entry. They see the list and they say, Lord knows, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna have that, and then we get right in there. That's what I say. What are these degrees if we don't help our people? I don't want to be Dr. Karen if I can't help my people. Then don't make any sense. And the economic sector. And finally, Stafford Grant leads our crime and citizen security.
Lord.
We focus on long-term intervention.
There.
So he has a mentoring program that he's implementing in partnership with several organizations in Jamaica. And I hope, Sandra, that you would perhaps invite the leaders of the sectors to come back, or faith-based leaders. Yes, I would love it.
You direct my path, and I will be more than happy. You know that already, because this is a solution-based program. Good. And anything that will help my country, Jamaica, I am on board 100%. So you just hook me up. Let's hook a sister up,
And you're
and
ready
I'm good to
to.
go.
So I'm going to hold you to that, Sandra, because our faith with Bishop Hartley, we have a food and agriculture, because food insecurity and food security are issues, and how we innovate, and the green economy, the environment. So we have these sectors, and we're aligning the work to what Jamaica needs developmentally, to the work of the work groups in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. And again, it's not about Karen Dunkley, it's about a team. If I came here today and sat in front of you and said, gee, you know, I'm so amazing, allow me to tell. It's just that God has blessed and surrounded me with a very supportive team that are critical friends. They're not yes people. We're able to engage in spirited intellectual discussions and attach actions that are feasible and smart. We can quantify and measure them and evaluate them to get the best outcome for our people.
Absolutely. Sharon Pearson is asking, does Jamaica really view the diaspora as a relevant partner or just a cash cow? What do you think?
And speaking on behalf of my constituents, I think when I say a turning point or a tipping point, that's what, thank you so much, Ms. Pearson, for that question. That's the sentiment, is that it's landing on the diaspora, that is a cash cow, it's an ATM. And that's when we say we're at a tipping point. That is like, you know, the relationship can go either way, and we have to both choose the higher vibration. I said, boy, we're going to stick it out and fight out this thing for the good, for the better. So we're not just a cash cow. We can bring our best thinking, the intellectual capital, the knowledge transfer to the table on behalf of Jamaica, and apart, not just the entities or these developmental goals, but our families. When, to your point, Sandra, we do the give. And so the mindset in the language, whether it's government or community entities or churches, whatever it is, when we speak about the diaspora, it's humanized and not monetized. And that will be a big distinction and a big turning point in terms of the impact and the intent.
I don't want to leave without asking this question. I'm not a politician, so this is strictly from a layman's standpoint. The government, does the government have and I'm not talking about this particular government, I'm talking about government in general.
Sure.
Do you think the government has a interest in the diaspora from a standpoint of diaspora relocating, or is it as strict, or you see it as more of a support arm?
I think that's an excellent question based on the data, because the diaspora touches government at different levels of government, and government touches the diaspora at different levels. So when you talk about in terms of returning and saying that Jamaica is viable, like come back home, you know, like Ghana had the year of the return, I would say that we, the diaspora, in terms of marketing, in terms of housing and investment, Jamaica Stock Exchange really markets, and different housing developers and housing programs market extensively and intentionally to the diaspora. There are so many organizations that have developed businesses because they understand that if individuals in the diaspora just know, for example, returning home, what they need, where they live. And again, imagine if we address crime and healthcare issues in a tangible, results-oriented way. Trust me, Jamaica would have shut its borders. Jamaica would need to develop an immigration policy if we were to fix. So I want to say that the answer is clearly yes, that in terms of returning home and attracting the return of those of us who may not live there full time, that there appears to be, I would say, a thrust in pulling us back. However, in terms of whether or not it's coming back physically, whether it's remittance, investment, philanthropy, export, tourism, and knowledge transfer, I still think that we need to go an additional step, that we need to be honest, that we need respect reciprocity, and we need to just be able to talk, and then we need to hold each other in support and accountability.
Accountability.
Yes. Do what we say what we do. So I would say yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Karen, you know, we could go on forever and ever and ever, because this is, well, first of all, I learned quite a bit, because really and truly, as I said, I'm just not, because of this program, and for each program, there's another program that comes out of the program, because
yes,
there's just so much knowledge that is not really, well, most people don't read the newspapers, and so I'm not saying that the information is not there, but in this age of the internet technology, you know, where, and you know, people like watch TV, so they will sit and listen to a program, and they like to have, we as Jamaicans like to have a conversation.
Yes.
And majority of us want Jamaica to be the place where we can raise our children, work, all the different things that 2030
live and do business. That's right.
Claims to be targeting. So I think this kind of forum, we can reach more people. We reach the world. We reach the diaspora, right? We reach and we can reach anywhere, because YouTube is everywhere, literally, right?
Second most used search engine, by the way, Sandra. People don't know YouTube is the second most used search engine in the world.
Right. So I am so appreciative of you, because I know you're very busy. I don't have to ask of you taking the time. I can feel your passion. I can feel the love of what you do. You have done so much already, you know, and I want to encourage you. I know that there are many persons here who supporting you, but maybe we don't do more because we're either unaware or busy doing other things. So you just have to keep us in the loop. I want to thank you for all that you're doing. You bring a different face to, because when you think diaspora, you think about retired folks. I'm just saying, and you know that. You're looking, you know, so when the young people take it up, it brings a whole new complexion to the whole external interest into what happens here. And I want to encourage you to still pressure the government to manage the crime and all the other things. And I also want to say, because you were away, I'm here. Our problem is not entrepreneurship, because there is no, and I say it every day, there is no lack of talent. What we lack is structure. What we lack is structure and understanding of what we have. So, for example, you have many people who are so talented, but they call it a hustle or a side hustle. It's not converted to a meaningful business for many reasons. Whether it's they don't think that they have the finances to start it or to grow it, or they just don't have the business side of, because many of us, like myself, we're creatives. We get bored with the details. We do get bored with the details. So the structure is what is lacking. Maybe many of us should more think about partnerships, because whereas we're good at the talent, in creating, we're not really good at the business side of it. And you know, we have a problem with trust.
Yes.
So although we have a talent, we're afraid to trust people to come into our businesses. That's what I'm seeing. I'm just telling you from my point of view. This is nothing from no book. I'm just seeing what is around me and my exposure.
Your lived experiences and wisdom of practice.
Absolutely. This is what I'm seeing. There is talent abound, but the hustle mentality, the lack of structure, the fear of government and taxes, these are some of the things that delay our progress and delay us putting it in a business structure. So I want to encourage persons out there who are thinking, who have talent, who have quote unquote that side hustle that could be a meaningful business and could also become an employer, right? Because many businesses have closed. So there will be gaps when all of this is over. And when all of this is over, we are going to take off. There's not an if, but, or maybe. But it may not be the same things we were thinking of. We have to pivot. That new buzzword, pivot. Many of us have had to pivot.
Right.
But many of us have the ability. So believe in yourself. Surround yourself with the right people. Ask questions. If 100 people said no, there's somebody that may say yes. You just have to push. And so I just want to take the opportunity to invite persons who have the skill. There's JBDC. There are several other entities that can assist and can direct. Put yourself out there. Put Jamaica at the forefront and push and push and push. Migration is wonderful. It is also an option. But I am not pushing the migration at this time.
I don't. There's nowhere America is not what it used to be. I've seen the don't.
Try to build what we have.
Said, we have to build what we have. I've been all over the world like you, and I always say there's nowhere like Jamaica.
Right.
And to your point, we need to find. I just want to make 2 quick points because the diaspora going to be like, wait, you must mention this symposium. The Diaspora Symposium, Jamaica and Her Diaspora, Stronger Together for a Sustainable Future, June 16th, which is Wednesday and Thursday, and 17th. On the 16th, we have our...
If you have a flyer, send it to me and I will post it right after this program.
Oh, excellent, because we have panel discussions on health and wellness, education about how do we prepare all children for the global economy, panel discussions about reimagining diaspora health partnerships, and we have our partnerships work group led by Dr. Kevin Brown of the UK, and the health is Dr. Parker and Claudette Powell, talking about how do we create this incubator, this engine. Is going to be quite fascinating to build better partnerships, exactly what we're talking about today. And so go to mfaft.iteneri.com, mfaft.iteneri.com to register, free registration to attend the diaspora.
Is it on the flyer or you want to send it?
It's on the flyer and I'll send it. And Sandra, I just know we need a part 2, because when you speak about this informal economy, the side hustle, I thought that by the time I got to the 40s, that Jamaica would be able to exit the International Monetary Fund.
Right.
We have to begin, if we formalize our economy, because the majority of the money sits in the hustle. America calls it a gig economy. That's not even informal. If we were to formalize and capture those hustle dollars, what we would be able to leave the IMF and not be under these oppressive structures that really debilitate and dehumanize our systems. And that, to me, and the World Bank, I've had an issue with the IMF as long as I could understand the concept of these austerity measures and all these different tests. And I think that Jamaica, we have to begin to make some decisions around the way forward. You talk about Vision 2030, we have to have a serious conversation about debt, crime, corruption, education, healthcare, infrastructure, the green economy, the environment, but it's all of us together, stronger, having this conversation, and not just a conversation, but putting our actions, our time, our talent, and our treasure where our mouth is. And Sandra, I just want to thank you for having me, but I don't want to be Moses. I want to see the promised land. So we are hopeful that we will at least see some of the promised land around a better and a deeper impact of the Jamaican diaspora.
Thank you so much, Doc. I really appreciate it. Bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you, bless you. People, when I tell you, say I bring the real McCoys to the table, I don't joke. Natanya says, how do you reach the small person, get them interested? The person who listen a program or get involved are persons who have an interest to make change. That is true. Get to reach the person, but we have to find a way. Sean Houslin says, talent and skill are being business minded, savvy are two very different things. It is very important for the first to seek the second skill set. Many persons go broke because they don't understand businesses. That is so true. So true, Sean. And thanks for your comments. But we, as you said, part 2, and you're going to hook me up on those other people.
Yes,
when we having them, we can bring you back and we can have that discussion. Because, as I said, I am all for solutions. Letting people know what they can do, what they need to be doing, how they can effect change, how they can change their mindset, because many of us are still living in 1964 in terms of mindset. We have to bring our mindset to now. So definitely a part 2. That's a promise. So thanks people for joining. Thanks my folks for joining. Next week we're going to have, next week is Father's Day. That's I totally mean it's Father's Day every day. But we're going to have a conversation with 3 dads. And we want to talk about, I don't want to talk about what it is like to be a father. I want to know from these fathers, what is it that we are misunderstanding? What are we not getting about fatherhood? What are we misunderstanding? What do they need from us as wives, as mothers, as baby mothers, as friends, as whatever, friends, foes, whatever. I'm just saying that some of the men get a very bad rap. I can tell you from my personal experience at Totally Male, we have some awesome dads, which I plan to pull, which I'm pulling from for this particular discussion. So join me next week to have that discussion. Father's Day is a Sunday. We're going to be having that discussion on the Monday. So please join me next week, same time, same place, 8 p.m. sharp Jamaica time. And Doc, I'm gonna hold you to that part 2, and to the friends that you plan to have join me. I'm gonna hold you to that, because as you said, those other things really need to have that discussion as well. It's been an awesome 1 hour and 43 minutes. And sometimes people say, boy, you need to keep it to the hour. But the truth is, by the time the argument gets sweet, by the time the discussion gets sweet, and you start to get into the meat of the matter, 1 hour is here. And really and truly, I don't want to cut it, and I don't want to not have the discussion of the serious topics. But those of us who are really interested about change and about growing Jamaica, we can spend 1 hour and 43 minutes, can't we? So have a wonderful week. Bless you, bless you, bless you all. Thanks again, Doc. And we'll talk.
Thank you. One love, walk with enough respect.
Enough respect. All right.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. All right.